I am proud of my country's heritage. We're living on freedom soil. Brave men have gone before me here, unafraid to pray and toil.
So we're talking about rule of law, and one of the things to understand about the rule of law is that it's been used to give power to judges and power to the rest of the government that they shouldn't have under our Constitution. And it gets to what we call abuse and misconstruction of power. Now, in our Constitution, the only thing that rules, if you go through our Constitution and you go through the Declaration of Independence and the ratification letters, all of which are very good to understand, then you understand that the only thing that rules is God. Because there are rules, they make rules for this, rules for that, but in terms of a ruler, something that rules, the only thing that rules in those documents is God. End of story. They talk about King George from England, because he was a ruler and had been a ruler of England and of the United States when they were the colonies under British rule. Okay, and that's what they actually fought the Revolutionary War to get away from, was British rule, because they didn't want to be ruled in all areas whatsoever. One of the things that you had in Europe was that you had both religious and political leaders who ruled the people. There would be bishops of churches, and they would make all the decisions. If you had a judgment you needed, you'd go to court, you'd go to the bishop or his representative, and they would just decide, right, wrong, or indifferent. You see this on television now. They'll have a judge and two people will come before them, and the judge will simply make a decision, not based on law, without a jury. And they'd like people to think that's a good idea, but that's not a good idea. That's a terrible idea. There's been all kinds of problems with this in history, and we can read that, although a lot of the history that you get has been kind of filtered by people who want to rule everybody. So you have to dig around and find the history where you get the reality of it. Okay? So there were in Germany, the National Socialist Party took over and ruled in Germany. And they were able to make rules about everything that people would do. And some people thought that was bad. Some of the things they were doing were quite bad. So there were some of the things they were doing they thought were quite good. And so they had a bunch of concentration camps, 305 concentration camps. You generally in history will hear about 3 of the concentration camps, and only 3 of them. But there were 305. And there were priests, Roman Catholic priests, and there were Protestant ministers who had gone against what the National Socialists, they were a socialist government, were doing. And so they were put in these camps along with others, many others. Okay. And that was really a lot of it very bad. And after they had a war, World War II, they had trials called the Nuremberg trials. And in those trials, the second and third set of trials, primarily, not completely, tried the judges who had worked for the National Socialists. See, in England, the judges were called lions under the crown. And what that meant was they were appointed by the king, and they pretty much did what the king wanted done. If he was interested in a particular case, then they would judge that way. So having laws in any time is really good, because you have a standard and you don't get prejudicial judgments. It can help prevent prejudicial judgments to a degree. And that's from history. The key is that rule of law, it's not a part of our government. And it's used to give power to government that it shouldn't have, and it's used to make people think that we're ruled by something besides God. And under our Constitution, and the people who originally ratified our Constitution, they believed in their hearts that the only thing that ruled them was God, and that if they would keep His word, which was the Bible, and live by it, they would be okay. And they would use government as a tool to get along. We'll talk a little bit more about this rule of law. Hopefully this is helping.
Yes, our God still bears His mighty arm when men to Him are loyal.
Hi, my name's Rod McBain. Please, if you get time, go to our website. That's www.kerusso4God. KERUSSO, the number 4 and God.org. KerussoForGod.org. Please subscribe to our channel. It helps us. Google likes it, and it helps us move forward. And if you would, please take a look at the coffee cups and t-shirts. Buy some of those. We'll try to keep them useful. And that helps us with the utilities and the groceries. Please take a look at our sponsors, see what they're up to. And I thank you for listening to what we're presenting. And if you have comments, please add them below.